Hey Mary, back with another video. It's 10:58. It really is the 7th, okay? But I guess maybe I'm just relaxing so much I don't want to pay attention to time. It's kind of funny. Anyway, so, I guess I'm in this social mood right now. And as you know, I don't know anyone. So I'm in front of the camera, moving my eyeballs and just kind of talking. But, you know, was thinking, how I have all these ideas, and I would love to play out these ideas, right? All my life I've just loved the idea of, when I was a kid, you have these certain toys that you play with, right? Yes, I like toys, okay? They're interesting, because some toys are designed to make you imagine or visualize, or like, for example, I remember getting a doctor kit when I was a little kid, right? Now, obviously, not all people who have doctor kits grow up and become doctors, right? But some of these toys, to me, are just like, they should be must-have staples for every kid, in my opinion, okay? Now, that doctor kit made me feel, like, important and focused, And it had, like, a little stethoscope, I think that's what you call it, and like a little box pretending to be pills, and little first aid kits, right? Some of it was actually functional, what I mean by they had like little cases and stuff that you could actually use, which I did put some band-aids and stuff like that in there. But what I loved about it was it helped you dream, and I see all kinds of like fun things for kids to play with. I like old-fashioned toys, like, I don't know how kids would respond if they got like a doctor kit now, or some kids have like really not just like basic science kits, okay, but some kids got like quite a nice setup. Okay, I never received that gift, which is would have been really cool, but it's just some of these things that just really stimulate the imagination. And I miss those, Now, obviously, I don't really care so much about doctor kits and stuff like that. But I would like to get a dollhouse, a really nice dollhouse with all the furnishings. And, they did have some YouTube channels. I'm going to tell you who I envy. That my Froggy stuff, I envy her. I do. I just think, first of all, she loves toys too, okay? And I actually, when I say envy her, I really adore her and her daughter. I envy their relationship. I envy it so bad, because it's like, here you got two women who are very, focused, very talented. I look at their stuff and I'm like, wow. Sometimes they make a lot of little videos, and they film the inside of their dollhouse. Or any other creations they make. They make doll houses. I've seen them make school hallways and stuff. My God, these people are incredible. And the furnishings that they put in these doll houses are just like, wow. Doll houses are another thing that help you, imagine. It brings out a lot of creativity. Anyway, I had watched one of her videos, and I was inspired to try it myself. Now, I don't have it right now because I put it in a bookcase when I was living over with my ex-husband, and it was basic stuff. I mean, like, I had like soap boxes. You take regular cardboard pieces, and you can start creating wonderful stuff. Actually, I would say my kitchen looked pretty good. I liked the kitchen because I had like a few soap boxes, and I actually made like cabinets. And I made a refrigerator, and I think the kitchen stuff is easier, although I think I could have done a little bit better job on the stove. But for a person who just started this particular project, it actually turned out pretty good. Now, I think I made the bed too big. I was like making little stuff, and it entertained me. So like when I got depressed, I'd look over in the little room in the bedroom, and I would see this little setup. And my mind would just like thinking, man, it'd be kind of cool to go in that little house. Or, you put a little doll in there and you think, man, that's so cool. It stimulates the imagination. Not everybody likes doll houses, okay? It's like some men like model cars. They may have never owned a particular vehicle that they dreamed and fantasized about, okay? But guess what? You can get the model version, okay? And you can put it there on your shelf and just be like, yeah, cool stuff, right? It's it helps, some people call it bring out the inner child, but I'm like inner outer. I dig kid stuff, okay? I like, now I don't really have a whole lot of like toys, okay? I don't know what happened to my Viewmaster. I personally think somebody stole it. I did have some Viewmaster reels that I really enjoyed looking at. Now I'm trying to find this particular, and it's very hard to find. I think it's rare, okay? It's called Barbie Goes to Tahiti. Now, it was like, I don't know if it was me who owned that particular reel or my sister who had that one, but we pretty much shared Viewmaster reels and stuff like that. But still, it might have been given to her for Christmas. That's how it was, okay? They'd get certain gifts, I'd get certain gifts, whatever, but we all interchanged, and played with it. Of course, there was selfishness, okay, and crying over stuff and whatever. But anyway, this particular Barbie Goes to Tahiti Viewmaster, what I used to like to do is take the Viewmaster with the most bright colored type. I used to like the claymation type form characters. They would put them in these like Viewmaster reels, and it was like when you were looking inside it, if you directed it towards like the sunlight or maybe a lamplight or something, it was like super bright, and it was like this surreal world, But this particular Barbie Goes to Tahiti, it, of course, had Barbie. She was in her bikini with all her friends, Midge, and all her little buddies, right? And like the little setups and the little arrangements, like the palm trees and stuff like that. It was just like, wow, it was one of those things where you wish you could be like in a Mary Poppins situation. How she jumped into that picture and like was living in this reality or whatever. You wish that you could go into that Viewmaster, it is how it was for me, okay? So I enjoy these things that stimulate the mind. They're very mind stimulating and actually very helpful, okay? I remember reading an article about people who go through frustrations, right? And acting it out through dolls. And that may have been the reason why I came up with the idea of wanting to do this puppet show. But, we play with dolls anyway. Not play with them as much as I did when I was a kid, but I'll make them talk. I will make them talk. It's fun, it's fun. But see, some people think that because you enjoy childhood stuff, or you do that, yet something's up here and there's something wrong with you. No, that's not true, okay? It's actually very healthy to do that. Now, I could see there would be some sort of cause for concern if I took it to another level. I've seen some people who sleep in cribs, some people who insist on wearing diapers, people who actually are starting to try to find other partners to help them live out their baby world. Now, that's not me, okay? I'm not going that far, okay? But maybe some people need that. It sounds eccentric and way out there, but, some people need nurturing for whatever reason. And I will say that it does give you a sense of comfort to be connected to certain things like that, But I'm not quite that bad. And I don't even want to say bad, okay? I personally think if they have a need to act that out, as long as they're not hurting anybody, you go right ahead. But the thing is, what's important is that you know right from wrong. You know how to make decisions. You know how to communicate well. You have these basic life skills that you're using every day. You have full control of all of your functions, your senses. But this is your hobby. You know what I mean? It's something that you like to do. It doesn't mean that you're babyish. It doesn't mean that you're immature. It doesn't mean that you can't make decisions. It doesn't have anything to do with that, okay? Toy makers are sitting here, they enjoy that sort of stuff, so they make it for children, okay? I'm sure they go through every single adult thing that we have to get. Sometimes you gotta pay your bills. You have to show responsibility in the world, and as long as you have those things in place, you're good to go, okay? Now, that doesn't mean you're mentally ill. Okay, which is one of the things that these people will try to use against you. I'm not ashamed of saying that I like toys. I will praise and talk Fisher-Price to the sky. Fisher-Price is awesome, okay? Which I love little people. I wish I didn't lose those when I was a kid, because they are very dear to me now, and I'm like, they make me happy. You know what I mean? For some people, they got to spend a shitload of money. What we used to call the little people peewees. One little peewee would make me happy. I'd be jumping up and down. I'd be ecstatic. It's these little things that make me happy. That's not crazy. That's just contentment, in a world where it's very materialistic. But anyway, I am in a social mood right now, and I was thinking, it'd be kind of cool. I always wanted a tea party, and that was one of my gifts that I had when I was a kid. I got this really cute tea party set when I was a kid. And sometimes when my mom was being cool to me, she would pretend, and she made my stuffed animals talk a lot to me, right, when I was a kid. And I loved it. You know what I mean? I love it. Okay. And I feel safe and happy and cared for when those stuffed animals were talking to me. Right. And, when, I had this tea party set, and it was beautiful. It was like china. I think my mom still has a few pieces left, at her house, and I'm never going to grab them. Right. But, it has a little sugar dish and a little creamer thing, and the whole setup, right? And I remember feeling this whole feeling of I'm so prim and proper, and I would hold my little tea cup like this, and how it made you feel. How did it make you feel, that tea cup, that little party that you were having with your stuffed animals and your mom or whatever? How did that make you feel? It made you feel rich. It made you feel like I always pretended I was like this sophisticated woman, whatever. All of that stuff is good for your mental well-being. It helps to stimulate you. It helps to inspire you, if it's done in moderation. And maybe if it's not done in moderation, maybe some people have more needs than we do. Okay, like I said, some of the people are walking around with diapers and even going so far to shit their pants. There are people who do this, okay? People who have these sort of needs. I'm not judging them, okay? There is a reason why they are doing what they're doing. As long as they're not hurting other people, go right ahead. Shit your pants, whatever. Just, I don't want to have to look at it. So anyway, yeah, I think that would be a good idea. So I was talking to my friend, I was like, see, we live on a distance. We live quite a distance away, right? But if I had people that was cool, and they weren't perping all over me, I would think, it'd be so cool, let's do this. Okay, so we would have maybe a few people come over and have one of those eccentric ones where you can wear this weird hat, not a Halloween type thing, but just something that's just bizarre, just for a day would be cool. Or have cake parties where you introduce, different cakes. Yes, I eat cake. Okay. I usually reserve those things for special occasions. I prefer, because I don't really see the point. I just don't. Okay. To me, things are special when you don't get them as often, right? So, I've been thinking about the strawberry cake, and the kind of plates it should be served on. I love that stuff. And it probably came from that idea, from that tea party. I mean, that tea set. You know what I mean? So I cherish those things, That doesn't make me crazy. It makes me imaginative, which is good. So what else did I want to say? I'm just kind of in a good mood today. I am in a good mood. Not because, why am I in a good mood? Probably because I'm here at the house and I'm okay with being at the house right now. I know sometimes I like to get out and do some errands and stuff like that, but I try to do that in the middle of the week now. I'm like, lifetime is so precious. I want to spend time by myself without the dealing with other people. Not that I have any problems here in town, meaning socially I don't have any problems. If people hate me, they're not letting me know about it. But I'm just saying is I don't have the bullshit that I dealt with before. But I usually go to the grocery store or whatever, and people are friendly, and they're nice, and, you have those little exchanges, and you get to go. Those are helpful, okay? But it would be really cool to have, little parties and stuff like that. I love stuff like that. And I like buying, those little decorative things for your table. I do. I love that kind of stuff, okay? So it's not, I am a child at heart, meaning I do enjoy cartoons. I love cartoons. And I think people have judged me based on that. But see, when you've got, I'm sure my family did, because my family have never liked me in the first place. Okay, obviously I got two jealous bitch sisters and a brother who, to me is pretty sick. Anyway, but you got these people, right? And they've never liked you. They've always thought you were weird. I know that they saw my religious side when I was growing up. I was very interested in religion and stuff, and which is odd for another kid, And then your mom was basically saying, well, she wasn't planned or whatever, all this other stuff. So they have this idea of me, and what they don't understand is I am my own person. And people often, behave according to the environment that they're in. Like, for example, my family never allowed me to be who I was. If I told a joke, which was always lame to them, but funny to me, if I was being silly or giddy or, spastic sometime, which I love being that way, but if that was what I was doing in front of them, because they didn't like me anyway, they are, it kind of intensifies that, and then because they don't do that themselves, they don't understand how come I'm not the same way that they are. So when they go into, they do their little spying and stuff like this in the workplace, they see that, Maria isn't really like that. Like, I'm not all goofy. I do like being goofy, but I'm sometimes in my life, other times in my life, while I'm not around them, I have other conversations, and I'm able to talk about things that really interest me, and I am my own person, Whereas my family doesn't see me as that. They always want to see me as only a goofy person. So I know, there's been talk about me like liking toys and my Hello Kitty. I love Hello Kitty. I love Hello Kitty. She's so cute. So they'll use that, okay? Even though there's a shitload of people who drive cars with Hello Kitty bumper stickers, Hello Kitty, what do you call it? The driving wheel thing, a steering wheel. Hello Kitty covers. I got seat covers. Women wear Hello Kitty on their shirts all the time. I see people wearing Hello Kitty handbags who are over the age of 40. They gear checkbooks. I have a checking account with Hello Kitty on it. Last I know, kids aren't allowed to have checking accounts, okay, unless they're 18 years older, or they could be a teenager with a adult authorization, but for the most part, that's geared towards adults, okay? So adults like this stuff, okay? But they tend to forget, like I mentioned yesterday with the people who eating the yogurt and the people who wear wigs and all this other stuff, all these things that other people do somehow becomes like they forget. They're so fixated on trying to pick you apart that they're grasping for straws, and it's fucking pathetic. It's really pathetic. But anyway, this is who I am. You know what I mean? There's more to my side than just being goofy, which I love being goofy. I miss being goofy, but unfortunately, when you're in solitude all the time, you really can't be goofy around people. Okay, people think that I'm all like, just because I'm more, I don't know, intellectual or whatever you want to call it, that I don't have a sense of humor. I do have a sense of humor, okay, and it's very goofy. I'm a very goofy person, but I'm happy this way. I don't get to joke around as much because there's no one to talk to. So that's one of the reasons why I'm sitting here in front of this camera with watching my eyeballs move and whatnot. I do like having fun, but I'm also a person, who has other interests, Aside from religion, of course, I was very religious when I was growing up. I'm not religious where I was never a Jehovah's Witness, but I did study with them. And I think that their, studying the Bible at that young age did create a foundation for me. I do care about spirituality. I do care about God and living well. I do. But I don't think that I need to be a part of any sort of religious dogma or belong to one specific. I just don't think that's necessary. I don't think so. I think some people do it. It's people who have really good hearts, mind you. And I'm not talking about people who are doing it for status or to obtain something of any material worth. I'm saying people who have a heartfelt move, a movement in their heart, like a drive. They want to be in alignment with these holy things. And that's how I am. And I think there are some people out there who feel that way, and they go to church because they love that environment, because they're hoping to find other people who are wanting to live. No one's pure on this earth, okay? We are all guilty of sin, every single last one of us. That's the whole idea of this whole Bible, right? We are born into sin, right? But people want to be around other people who are striving to be godly. And I think there's a lot of disappointment for people who have this true mindset, the right mindset about how we should serve God. And then you go into some of these churches. I'm not saying all churches, okay? I'm sure there's some good churches out there. But we go into some of these churches, and these churches are filled with corruption and, just I don't like the idea of prosperity preaching and all this other stuff. It becomes something other than what people feel, sincere people feel in here. You know what I mean? And here and everywhere, because it's a part of our lives, So, but yeah, I mean, it's still a part of who I am. And some people might think that, I do have like this, I'm not rebellious at all, I remember when I was working over at Organized Sports, I had changed my hair, because what happens is when you wear certain wigs, I was wearing a full wig at the time. I only wear half one now because, at the time, I think in 2000, I had botched my hair pretty bad, okay? The front of it, I didn't have any bangs or anything. So I remember using like a full wig. And so it was rather long. It was too long for me. I think it came down to here or something like that. And I don't like that length, okay? I think because my real hair, I just recently cut it, but my real hair usually is right here, okay? And then when I bend my head, it gets up here, and it starts to bend and tweak, and I can never have my hair lay down. It doesn't do that, okay? Because I've had divots in my head. What do you call it, divots? Like, I dealt with some hair loss from the root, okay? Not it just tearing out, right? I dealt with some hair loss at one time, and there's like a small hole. If you start parting my hair, you'll see this hole, and it does not allow my hair to lay flat, okay? So I was wearing this longer wig, right? And so I had decided, because back then I really didn't give a fuck, really. I didn't. I just wanted, give me a wig, as long as it's like going to cover the circumference of my head, I don't care, right? So I got this like short one, right? It was short. So I came to work Monday, and then one of the production managers, such an ignorant fuck, right, comes up to me and says, now, you're rebelling. I'm like, how am I rebelling? Who am I I was thinking, who am I rebelling against? As far as I knew, I was an adult. How is that rebellious, okay? Wigs get, what's the word for it? They get worn. They get worn out. They get worn out a lot. They get matted. Okay, especially for someone like myself. I don't know how to take care of my own hair. You think I'm going to know how to take care of hair that's this long? It was getting, gunky, so it's like, okay, and you wash it, and it was like, it still didn't look right. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to get another one. And oftentimes at wig shops, they don't have the same one that you bought before. Oftentimes they switch out stuff. So you typically, like, you want to buy the same one, right? Well, they didn't have it. So, and it was already hard for me to find something that was going to work right. So there was this short one, and this lady was like, you like this? I'm like, I guess so. It's okay. Whatever. All right. So I wore it, and then he told me I was rebelling. Now I understand. Okay. This is the kind of bullshit that comes into the workplace. And they're like, well, when the minute I walked in, they're probably like, she changed her hair. And then it gets reported back to my perps, my family, or whoever. She changed her hair. She just changed it like 4 months ago. Which I see white women coming in all the time, who sometimes they change their hair, they brighten it. Sometimes they put streaks in it. I know perms were popular a few years ago, and maybe it was straight, and then she permed it, and then like a few months later, she decides that her perm is growing out, she wants to cut it all off and start all over again, and now she wants to put some red streaks in her hair. I see people changing their hair all the time, okay? But you do something and they goddamn want to know about it, and then tell you you're being rebellious. I'm not being rebellious. Like I said, my parents told me all this other stuff. So my family, I don't want to go into all of it, but they don't know me. You know, they don't know me. They never really ever had a conversation with me. Okay, they don't even think that I'm a human being. Okay, obviously, that's why they treat me the way that they do. So, so everything that you do to them is like, see, I told you, see this little frog over there? Yeah, about a few years ago, when during the heart of my gang stalking, I would use my frog to relieve myself. Like, you know, they're thinking, you know, I noticed, I didn't know who was all behind it at the time, but I knew that their thinking was like completely illogical. Like everything that you do, somehow they try to find contradiction in, they want to pick it apart. They are trying to find some sort of reason to argue with you or debate you or whatever. I think the guy from Activism of Care summed it up the best when he was talking about pop quizzes from hell. And that's just some of the shit that they do, right? Well, anyway, you know, I was making my frog talk because I was making little skits and, like, acting out how stupid they were, you know? You know, like, things that were just really, like, dumb. Really dumb, okay? Much like, you know, everybody, like, Hello Kitty and the just things that other women do or people do in general. Packing a yogurt in your lunch, you know, just stuff like so stupid that is frivolous that everybody does. Okay, but somehow that's my issue. I remember back in the 90s, I had a coworker come up to me. I was wearing jeans, okay, and I was really kind of sloppy at that time. You know, I was dressed pretty sloppily. Not that I wanted to, but you know, my son was really young at the time, and I didn't have the kind of money, you know, because when I was living with my dad, I would work pretty much for my own independence, really. Because in my late teens, I was still getting an allowance. Okay, not much, but I was still getting an allowance, and I basically worked to feed my interest of clothes, my Sanrio collections, you know, music, whatever. I was just literally doing whatever I wanted to do just because I wanted shit. You know what I mean? And so it wasn't necessary. I didn't have to. I could have, you know, been one of those kids that just kind of stay around and like live off what's in my family's refrigerator and whatever. Although I still ate at home and stuff like that. But still, I was basically working just to be working. And so anyway, I guess basically what I was going to say is that I get judged a lot on stuff that that I think is some unresolved childhood issues with my family. You know, like it's resolved now because I'm putting an end to it. But I'm just saying is they don't understand how to identify somebody who is meant to be who they are. You know, because they're too busy trying to fit in with everyone else. You know, I'm just trying to live my life. You know, I know when I was younger, you know, everybody tries to fit in to a certain degree. Okay, you try to. So, you know, you try to take an interest in whatever your friend is taking interest in or whatever. You know, you try to. But that doesn't last for very long because you end up miserable, you know. Like, I hate Mickey Mouse. I remember, like, my friend would talk about Mickey Mouse all the time. And that's fine, 'cause not everybody likes things that, you know, to those details. And you might both like tennis, you might both like a bunch of other things, but just one particular thing. But I remember having this particular friend that we had nothing in common with. Okay, nothing. So everything that she wanted to do, I found extremely boring, and vice versa. So I don't see any point in that, you know. Whereas I think my family just wants to, I don't know, they want to be normal, but they don't understand there's no such thing as normal, you know. And so they've hated me all these years, and so they basically wrecked my life is what they've done, you know. So I'm sure they're probably relieved that I don't ever want to see them again, because they would never make any attempt to see me again. They would be too ashamed of themselves, because now I understand what these people really are, you know. I fully understand. Now I understand the game. Like, why you guys would be shitty for no apparent reason. You know, everything would be cool, and then you guys, it's okay to hit me with a book or some bullshit. Now I understand. You know, wow. Mind-blowing stuff. Mind-blowing stuff. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up. We'll be back with another video some other time later. Have a great one.